focused on a lot going on in the Hill. I'm joined by United States Senator Rick Scott from the great state of Florida. Good morning, Senator. Good to talk to you.
Good morning. It's great to see you yesterday.
It was fun to be on the Hill. I like getting in and out of there before the reporters show up in the hallways and bug everybody. Honestly, when are you going to ban reporters from the hallways?
They're all over the place. I mean, you can't walk back. I have to go. We're having 3 or 4 votes a day now. You have to go from the Hart Building back, and there's it seems like 200 or 300 of them all the time, all over the place.
It just I don't think it's good for security, and it's your problem. It's up to rules administration. Let me get to the big deal, the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act. I don't think we've ever gone this far into a year without one. I don't think we've ever not passed one. What's the status?
Well, I think the Chairman Inhofe and Ranking Member Reid have worked hard. It's almost $750 billion. There's a lot of big wins for Florida. Tyndall Air Force Base will clearly get rebuilt. We also got a pay raise for our military. I'm optimistic here. I think while the Democrats are doing nothing other than impeachment, I think on this one, I think we have a reasonable opportunity to get something done this week. Although I can tell you what, all I do is watch the Democrats do. I mean, it's like do nothing Democrats up here.
Now, one of the things that has been holding it up is Democrats did not want the president to use money from the Department of Defense budget to continue the construction of the border barrier. Is that ban in the NDAA, or is in fact it going to permit it?
No, the ban's not in there. It's clearly something that the Democrats want. You just think about this for a second. The Democrats don't want a military. That's Trump one. And number two, they don't want a border. I mean, what are they thinking? What is the purpose of the federal government other than our safety? It's to defend the freedoms that we fight for, and we have to have a secure border. And the Democrats are against both of them. But there's no limitation in the NDA that will be able to stop that. And if you listen to Chairman Inhofe, he believes it's going to get passed. Although who knows what's going to happen with this impeachment, if that's going to mess everything up. Look, we don't have a budget. The year started, we don't have a budget. And by the way, think about what the Democrats did before. Under Obama, they cut their military. They cut our military. Was China getting weaker? Was Russia getting weaker? Was Iran getting weaker? No. They cut our military over 20% in those years. I mean, what were they thinking?
That's not the appropriation, though, right? The NDAA is just the blueprint. You still need the money to come along. Is the money going to come along?
Well, I'm optimistic, but right now it's all about impeachment. So next week, this is Wednesday, so by next Thursday, hopefully we'll get that done. I don't think we'll get an overall budget done. I talked to Chairman of the Appropriations, Shelby, and he didn't seem very optimistic that we'll get a deal done on the entire budget. So it looks like we'll have another continuing resolution. By the way, what messes the impeachment up is without everybody agreeing, we can't go to anything else other than impeachment once it comes over here.
Well, just keep confirming judges until it shows up. Let me ask you about, before we get to impeachment, you mentioned you're going to rebuild the Panhandle base. Tyndale, Pensacola is the scene of a massacre, a terrorist incident. Are you satisfied we have everyone who is a suspect under arrest or surveillance at this point?
No. First off, all of us, our heart goes out to those victims and their families. On top of that, I went to the hospital on Saturday and saw the individuals that had been shot. There's both the people that lost their lives and those people at the hospital. They saved a lot of other lives to stop the shooter and slow down the shooter, so local law enforcement and the police from the base could get there and stop the shooter. So first off, you just really have to give a big thank you to the bravery of these men and women. I talked to him as Saudi ambassador yesterday, and I had 2 goals. One, they have got to make sure that they fully cooperate. Number 2 is everybody's got to stay in the States until this investigation is over, so there can be a thorough investigation. The Saudi ambassador, she promised me that was clearly going to happen. I've asked Secretary Esper and Secretary Pompeo to do a full review. There's a commitment to do that. They've stopped. I think we ought to suspend this program. I mean, I served in the Navy. I can't imagine going to a military base and think I was unsafe. And so we've got to make sure our military members are safe and their families and the communities are safe. So right now, I think Secretary Esper is taking the right actions. I think we ought to look at suspending the entire program unless we can make sure every country is helping us with our vetting and doing it in the right manner.
All right, now let's turn to impeachment. I'm glad that you're there. Please give our well wishes if you are able to visit the wounded again and to the families of the grieving. I've been tweeting about Ensign Watson, just an amazing young midshipman.
Yeah, what a story.
What a story. What a man in full. But I do want to talk about the other side of the political world, from the serious, somber, and heroic to the absurd. 2 impeachment articles are going to come over. I have been all over the map. I was for dismissing them before they got a minute of your time. I was for a full hearing. I've now heard the arguments on all sides. What do you think's going to happen?
I think there's a chance that what's going to happen is the House will present their case, the president's team will present their case, and it'll be so clear that there is nothing here that this will go away. I don't know how long that'll take, but there's nothing here. I mean, everything the House has is hearsay. That's not admissible in a court of law, and so it's not going to be admissible in the Senate. And so I don't know why we would do anything besides we got to listen to them present their. I think it's the right thing to do is listen to both sides present their case. But after that, I don't think there's going to be anything there, and I don't know why we wouldn't just immediately get rid of it right then and get back to trying to get something done, like a budget, securing the border, reducing drug prices, which the Democrats don't care about any of these things.
Now, the second article
they shouldn't get paid. Right now, the House and Senate shouldn't get paid if they don't pass a budget. I've got a bill that says no budget, no pay. You and I we don't do our jobs in the private sector. We don't get paid. The same thing should be up here.
You get fired, actually. The thing about that second article, that the president is not cooperating with Congress. He has filed a number of lawsuits. A number of lawsuits have been filed by others like John Bolton and his deputy as to who has to testify, whatever. The Democrats don't want to wait for the rulings that they have no constitutional writ here. There is an Article 1, there is an Article 2, there's an Article 3, and Article 2 says Article 1 doesn't get what they want. That's going to be adjudicated by Article 3, but they want to impeach him in the interim. I don't get that at all.
Me either. I mean, if they let the court system work. I mean, Nixon went to court. I mean, why wouldn't the president have the right to have a court decide what the rules are? I mean, and that's obstruction. I mean, this is absurd.
Well, it is, and I hope you go after that. Let's close by talking about judges. You've got 2 Republican senators, so you should not have a single district court judge vacancy. Are there any down there? And, we talked yesterday about judges. It is the best thing that has happened in the last 4 years is this record-breaking pace of judicial appointments. I think Florida's full up. California is not. Am I right about that?
No, we've got 2, and they'll get done this month.
Oh, you do? So then you'll be full up.
Yeah, we have 2. We have the Southern District and the Middle District. It's the Tampa area, Tampa and Southwest Florida area. And I think they're really close on announcing them. And I know that the majority leader is committed to getting those done as quickly as he can. So he is. I mean, Mitch jokes about he's not going to let a judge be left behind. He is. I mean, McConnell is doing a great job. The White House is doing a great job of getting us good judges, and McConnell is doing a great job of getting them through the Senate.
Okay, last question. Tom Cotton said on the show yesterday that John Durham is the United States Attorney from Connecticut, that no one gets to be the United States Attorney unless the senators from that state sign off. That would mean Chris Murphy and Richard Blumenthal whenever Durham came into the job. Is Tom Cotton correct about Durham?
I have not seen that. Hugh, I've been up here 11 months. It's not happened in Florida yet. So I wouldn't be the right person to answer that. I'd be surprised. I don't know why that. I mean, this is the appointment of the president. Why the president wouldn't be able to do it on, whether those local senators like it or not.
Yeah, I think it's blue slip. I think it's one of those things where you guys get your blue slips, but I know the blue slips are around.
Judges and got rid of that. Hugh.
Okay, I will check. Cotton told me yesterday that it was a Durham was approved by Murphy and by Blumenthal. We will check. Senator Rick Scott of Florida, always a pleasure to